Sony's flagship smartphones have always had premium hardware and a set of unique, niche, or you can even say enthusiast-targeted features. The Sony Xperia 1 Mark III takes it to another level by perfecting most of these unique features, offering something new we haven't seen before and pushing hardware to its limits. Just to name a few, it is the world's first smartphone with a 120Hz 4K HDR OLED display, and the device has a unique variable telephoto lens. I'll talk about these and a lot more other features in this video, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. First of all, the aesthetics. Sony is a company that does not like drastic design changes, and the Xperia 1 Mark III is a good example. It looks very similar to last year's Xperia 1 Mark II, a narrow, long, rectangular phone with glass on the front and rear and a metal chassis. On the other hand, I like all of the subtle yet important improvements over the last year's model. The phone now uses a matte Gorilla Glass 6 covered finish on the back and a matte metal frame. I personally always prefer this finish to the glossy ones that are fingerprint magnets. A fast and accurate fingerprint scanner is now embedded into a more pronounced power key. There is a dedicated Google Assistant button that lets you talk with your phone and get the answers fast, and Sony's signature two-stage camera shutter key now has a better grip for your finger. We also have an old-school LED notification light, a hybrid dual SIM and a microSD card tray that can be taken out without any tools, and a headphone jack that provides probably the best audio on any phone thanks to Sony's fine-tuning and advanced tech. In addition to this, the device has upgraded front-facing speakers that are now 40% louder and they sound very good. Here is a quick audio test. All of this technology is crammed into a classic Sony-style rectangular IP68 water-resistant body that is long and narrow thanks to the 21:9 aspect ratio screen. Sony went all out with the specs on this beautiful Gorilla Glass Victus covered OLED panel. It's got a whopping 4K resolution and 120Hz refresh rate, a combination we haven't seen before. Same as before, there is a creator mode that lets you enjoy content as the creators intended, plenty of display settings to play with, and it is definitely one of the best screens you can get on any phone, but 4K might be an overkill for such a small panel and it takes a toll on battery life. On the other hand, like on previous Xperia phones, 4K resolution is not always on. The phone can auto-enable it for the right content. A shortcoming, the screen could be brighter for outdoor use, but it is still viewable. Just switch to the auto brightness and turn on creator mode to reach up to 620 nits of brightness. Just above the display, we have an 8 megapixels camera. On the back, we have a 16mm ultra-wide, a 24mm wide, and the world's first dual telephoto lens that switches between 70 and 105mm lens that actually move inside the phone to switch between different focal lengths. This year, Sony refined the Photo Pro app by giving you a simple mode, which, as the name implies, is easy to understand and use. You can switch between different cameras and adjust basic settings. However, a manual mode makes the Xperia 1 Mark III stand out from the crowd, as you can take a complete control over the image settings. For me, as a Sony Alpha camera user, the UI looks very familiar. Just as last year, we have incredible burst shooting capabilities with object tracking, real-time eye autofocus for humans and animals that work really well in practice. When it comes to image quality, pictures taken with a wide angle and main cameras have natural-looking colors and plenty of detail without added sharpening. Sony continues their you-get-what-you-see approach. Most of the shots look exactly as you see. Sony hasn't embraced computational photography that much, a feature appreciated by Sony fans. Zoom photos, especially the ones taken with a 105mm lens, could be sharper though, but it is still possible to get some nice shots. I suggest you use 70mm focal length for handheld photography and a tripod for a 105mm lens. Most of the portraits look good as the object is nicely separated from the background with no visible artifacts. I also like very accurate skin tone reproduction, something that most of the other phones' cameras miss. Selfie portraits, however, could look better, and hopefully Sony can improve that with future software updates. Low-light camera performance is pretty good overall, yet some of the images could be sharper and brighter compared to the ones taken with the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra that has a dedicated night mode. On the other hand, Sony sticks to their philosophy not to use too much AI image processing. Low-light selfie image quality is just above average. When it comes to video, the Photo Pro app is limited to 4K 30fps video recording, which is a bit frustrating. On the other hand, I found handheld video shot with either wide angle or the main camera to be very stable and smooth, and the footage has plenty of detail and sharpness. For the best results, use a 24mm lens. Things get worse with the telephoto shooters, and I suggest you use the tripod to reduce shakiness. Also, the footage is not as sharp as taken with the main lens, but that's usually the case with most of the phone's zoom lenses. Selfie camera can max out at 1080p 30fps resolution. It is not a problem for the majority of people, but most flagships can record in 4K, so I hope Sony improves that in future Xperia flagships. Also, I wish Sony used a wider angle lens. Despite that, I found the quality of video and audio to be pretty good. Check it yourself.
Yeah, One Mark III. I'm holding the phone in one hand, and let me walk a little bit. Today is a nice and sunny day, but I'm standing in the shade.
One of my favorite features of this phone is the Cinema Pro app. You can adjust plenty of different settings manually, just as you would do on a Pro camera. You can also play with creative looks to give a bit of a unique look to your story and share the vibe you want the audience to feel. My favorite is probably a cool look, but tell me which is yours after checking out the video samples that are uploaded on my secondary channel. All the links and show notes are in the video description down below. However, my favorite feature is definitely the ability to shoot in 4K 120fps, meaning that you can get dramatic looking footage by slowing it down to 4 or 5 times depending on your final project output if you choose 24 or 30fps. All of the shots you see were taken handheld. 4K 120fps means that you can get smooth shots even handheld. I love the overall quality too, and you can get a bit of a blurry background effect when you shoot up close. A few major shortcomings to me as a video shooter: there is no live eye or object tracking in video recording mode. These are the features that I'm used to using on my Sony A7S III, but I guess they are reserved for Pro cameras. A Snapdragon 888 processor is at the core of this device, meaning that it can handle pretty much everything you throw at this phone. Thanks to a 120Hz refresh rate display, motion blur reduction, and other optimizations by Sony, you can enjoy playing the latest 3D games without any issues, just as you would expect from a flagship device. Also, the 21:9 aspect ratio lets you see more of the gameplay, which is useful for spotting your enemies faster. All of the games I've played run fine on the highest graphics settings. The same can be said about day-to-day performance. The phone feels fast and snappy pretty much all the time. The phone runs on a near-stock Android 11 UI with some added features by Sony. For instance, we have a signature side sense that lets you quickly access your favorite apps. There is also a multi-window feature that makes the best out of 21:9 aspect ratio screen. You can customize ambient display and play with other tweaks and settings. The battery life hasn't been the best for me, but that may be due to the fact that I used maximum screen brightness setting and a 120Hz refresh rate pretty much all the time. That translates to about 5 hours of screen on time, but you can definitely achieve better results by at least reducing the screen brightness. Charging times are not the best in class. The supplied 30 watts fast charger can fully charge the phone in 1 hour and 50 minutes, and 30 minutes of charging will get you 50% of battery. There are also wireless and reverse wireless charging features. As for connectivity, the phone supports 5G, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, call quality, and signal reception have been great. So here are my conclusions. The Xperia 1 Mark III is a great phone. In fact, it is one of the most advanced smartphones the money can buy at the moment, and it is packed with quite a few unique features that make this phone stand out from the crowd. It all starts with a signature Sony-style design, world's first 4K HDR OLED display with 120Hz refresh rate, great cameras with full manual controls, 4K 120fps video recording, excellent overall performance, and lots of extras like a headphone jack that provides probably the best-in-class audio, LED notification light, a micro SD card slot, and a dedicated camera shutter key. However, I wish the phone had a better battery life or at least the ability to reduce display resolution that would increase longevity. Speaking of the display, it could be brighter for outdoor use. Also, selfie camera maxes out at 1080p resolution and charging speeds are not the best in class. Lastly, I wish Sony included object tracking and eye detect autofocus in 4K video recording. Despite these shortcomings, the Xperia 1 Mark III is a great flagship smartphone with lots of unique features that make this device stand out from the crowd, where most of the phones usually offer a similar design and feature set. What do you think about the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III? Would you buy this phone or would you choose another option? Tell me in the comment section down below which is your favorite feature of this device. Also, please like the video if you liked it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, it was Linus, thank you for watching and see you soon.